Go live. Okay. Now it should be up. Okay. This is the Trinity. I've already taken it apart, as you can see. If you want to know how to do that, there's a bunch of other videos on how to do so. Let me know in the chat if there's any issues you can't hear me. The picture quality, I mean, if it's blurry, let me know, but pretty much I don't think the lighting is going to be the best. This is mainly just to figure out what this camera does. This camera does not have autofocus, so we're kind of effed on that. In order for it to focus, I have to click the shutter button, and that kind of works, but whatever. So let's take the motherboard out and these last couple screws that I have to do. Cool. And these are I need to get a screw gun to make this easier, but I don't have a screw gun that uses these Torx bits. Yeah, because they can't hear the live version. Okay, there's one on the side. I already got that one out. All right, and then these little ones for the CPU. And I get in here, I clean off all the dust. I also apply new thermal paste. It's better to install these on the Trinities or Coronas because they have a little bit more longevity. The fat versions, you know, the original Xboxes. I have a couple Jaspers. One has died. I hope am I stripping this? Oh shit! I've never had that happen before. Let me try to undo the other ones. Yeah, I think I was just stripping that. That is weird. I've never seen that before. Okay. Okay. That I think is successfully unscrewing or not. That is so weird. Oh, I see what it's doing. So there is a little thread. I need to see if I can show you what's going on here. Inside, nope, you cannot see that. But pretty much there's things threaded into the heatsink that the screw is then threaded into the bottom. And what I'm doing when I'm unscrewing this is... Oh, dang it. Well, this is a weird issue. Let's unplug the fan. Yeah, you can kind of see it here in this one. There's this little nut that is screwed into the heatsink, and when I'm undoing this screw, all that I'm doing is twisting that nut. Yeah, so you can see it spinning there, at least you should. Alright, so how do I get around that issue? Can I just screw enough so that the heatsink comes off? Yeah, that's what I'm gonna have to do. That is so weird. I thought this was going to be a straightforward mod. But of course not. I can't even get the damn heatsink off. Let me see. I can't get a wrench in there to hold the. Oh, maybe I can't. I could stop the nut from spinning. Oop, there we go. There we go, we got one out. One more to go. Maybe we can just lift this out. Man, okay. Well, this nut should be really easy to get to. It's alright. Probably horrible camera angle. You can't see crap, but believe me, it's not much to see. There we go. Okay. Now it's coming off. Alright. Resume normal installation. Let me zoom this back a bit so you guys can see a little bit more of the camera. Okay. Alright, so now I've also already taken off the front plate. There's 2 screws, and then you disconnect that piece. And then I always like to lift from the front out. Alright, now we've separated, cleaned in there if that's dusty. Separated the CPU. Oh, that's why you can't take it off. So, separated the CPU from the board, but now we have the X clamp. The X clamp is the reason why I couldn't just simply unscrew the thing from the front. Now for the X clamp, I have 2 options. I have this OG one, or the one I made out of a staple remover. I like using that one. And you want to be delicate when you do this, because if one slip of this thing, you could easily take off a capacitor or a resistor or some surface mount component. Yeah, see, so this is the issue I was talking about. These things were unscrewed, and that was the main issue. So let me put these things back in. That is so weird. I've never had that happen before.
Hey Google, stop.
Alright, so that's in there. Alright, and for the heatsink and CPU, give it a little Goo Gone. A little bit goes a long way. See, a lot of people use rubbing alcohol, but one day I discovered that if you use this, and then I usually use not rubbing alcohol, yeah, isopropyl alcohol to take this stuff off. This Goo Gone stuff makes quick work of the thermal paste. I'm gonna go get some paper towels. Yeah. All right. And I'm gonna solder what I need to solder. You can do it. Actually, I don't know for this exact one. I think the Jasper, you can do it without taking the X clamp off. As you'll see here, some of the solder points are super duper close to the X clamp, and sometimes it's hard to get a soldering iron down in there. But I, especially if it's an older one, definitely like to take these off and get new thermal paste on it. Try and increase the lifespan of the console. The Goo Gone is just to get the worst off. Like you can use the rubbing alcohol to get the rest. All right. So the heat sink is clean. And always make sure you use the 99% rubbing alcohol instead of the 97 or what was it, 85, 45, I don't know. But usually the simple stuff you find at Rite Aid. I mean, I think Rite Aid does also have the 99%, but you know, it's not as strong. It's not going to remove flux or, you know, whatever you're trying to clean with. It's not going to remove it as easily. Okay, so now that's off. So when you are, yeah, let's take off these other cables. The white balance on this stream is awful. Looks like it's recorded in like a mental hospital or something, but it's the only light I had that's bright enough. And if I really tried, and if I keep streaming, I would adjust that white balance, but this is just to see how well this works for our wedding. Okay, so I'm not going to bother with, oh well, it's OCD is killing me. No, we're not going to deal with that because it's not actually in the way. So this is what we need to get access to. First thing you need to do when you are hacking something is you need to read the NAND. So to do that, people have NAND readers. So there's the JR runner, there's the Nandex, I can't think of the other one, but I kind of wish that I had the Nandex. That one looks a little nicer, but you know, what I have works. I have the JR runner. Cool little device. The software that you use this is getting harder and harder to access. I saw like there's a revival on GitHub. If anyone comments, I'll put it in the description. I'll comment back if anyone needs that, but I don't know how specific anyone actually needs that software. But I have it running on a Windows 7 machine. I think it would work on a Windows 10. There's a lot of issues with drivers signing and getting things to work, but I have another computer right here that I have my NAND reading software installed on. Okay, so what you do is, in order to read the NAND, you have these pieces and need to solder them to the relative points on the motherboard. And if this was a high class stream, I would flash that information up on the screen, but ain't nobody got time for that shit. So I'm gonna look it up so I can see it, because that's really all that matters, is if I can see it. Now I have the camera hanging on the screen that I'm using, so it's like dangling in the way, but 360 NAND. You can usually just go to images, and it's pretty simple. Okay. Alright, so let's turn on the soldering iron. Put some water on the sponge. So if and when there we go. Now the first video I saw, some guy did this. God bless him for doing that video and me being able to watch it. But he was super thorough. He would you go in here, and he would you scrape off. This is a fiberglass pen. You scrape off all the solder mask. I mean, it is good to pre-tin it. I'm gonna do it here just so you can see that sometimes I'm thorough, but and it is true that the more preparation you do, the easier it is. Because, you know, if you don't tin stuff, then it takes you multiple tries to try and get, you know, stuff to attach to it. And especially if you're working in a part where there's a lot of little components. If you have your soldering iron down there for a long time, then you could potentially, you know, start taking stuff off. And we don't want anything on the board to grow legs and run away. So that's, and when you look at a joint and you can see if it's shiny, you want joints to be nice and shiny. Let's see if I can zoom in. It's a test to see this thing's capability to do so. And my telephoto lens. So right here, these are the two things. It's three out of this one and two out of this one. And when you're soldering, if your solder is really dull, it means it's not wetted. I don't know how to fix that, but just know shiny's good. That's all that matters. Okay, so here are my NAND wires. Black and brown. Black. You go on right there. Oop, that is not black. That is brown. That is the black wire. That goes right there. Brown. And that goes right there. Orange. That goes right there. Red. And then yellow. Alright, let me check to make everything's working right. Alright, and then over here, we need blue, and then we need green. Okay, so that is all set up. Now, oh crap, the USB wire that I normally use to connect, that I usually use to, yeah, note to self, I definitely need to get a camera that autofocuses while videoing. But yeah, this USB is the mini, the micro, I don't know, it's the fatter one of the smaller ones. But the point is, I'm using this to connect my camera to my laptop. I need to find another one of those cables to connect the JR runner to my computer. There we go. I hope this one is a data line and not just power. We'll see. Turn the volume up on. Okay, unplug the speakers. Please stand by. Technical difficulty. I want to have sound while I'm doing all this, and I cannot seem to find the speakers. Hi everyone. Doing some cable tracing. Okay. All right, now we got the good old Windows beats. Okay. Now, in order to read the NAND, you need to have the power connected. You don't want to turn it on, but you need to have it connected. Okay, so I want to make sure my camera stays put, doesn't fly off the... Okay, there we go. So, the power cord is keyed, has that weird unique shape with these things, but when you have the case off, there's no way to know which way's up, so the beveled edges always go down. Okay, power's on. JTAG cable is connected. Alright, now let's open up the software. Cool. So it's reading it. So now we're going to read the NAND. And it's correctly reading that it is a Trinity with the 16 megabit or megabyte NAND, which I think is that chip. I'm not sure. But yeah, so this part probably going to be pretty boring, but pretty much all it's doing, it's going to read the NAND twice, compare it, because this is the most important part. If you brick flashing at any point, you know, you can always go back to the default NAND. You want to save this, you know, the retail NAND, but you know, you want to make sure this is a quality read, so that's why it reads it twice and then compares the two readings to make sure it's accurate. And so that this doesn't get yanked off the table, I'm going to tape this thing down. Some other fun things to know. This is the 4 gigabyte internal hard drive on the Trinities. A lot of these sometimes either came with 120, internal SATA drive, or this module, which is the 4 gigabyte in internal storage. And it's really cool with this. You can actually, this pops off, and it uses some basic USB protocols, so you can actually solder in the data plus and minus, and there's a 5 volt and then a ground, and you can actually solder in something, either a USB stick, or I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder in something like this. This is a card reader, but that way you can have that. You can only do this modification on an RGH board. If you try and just plug a USB stick into that without having your console hacked, it won't read it. But I'm debating on if I want to do that, because pretty much I'm already going to have a 1 terabyte hard drive on this thing. So I don't know if it's necessary. I mean, pretty much all this has is going to have game saves. I usually maybe save my games to this, because that way, if the hard drive for whatever reason is taken out, I still have all my game saves safe on the internal piece. But I don't know. But just something to consider. All right, it is still like probably 80% done reading the NAND, so. This camera might be good for streaming the wedding, but I don't know. Streaming tabletop work, if it's gonna quite cut it. Doesn't help that the lighting is poop. So that's the noise it makes when it reads the NAND once, and that's why I wanted to make sure there was sound pumping out of the speakers. This is the chip we're gonna install. I'm going to connect these corresponding pieces to power and then various things on the board. And you also have to set some jumpers right there. A lot of people, they like to maybe put the chip up here or down here. I kind of like to put it, because there's a hole in the board and some of these things have to go through it, I like to put it kind of right there in the middle. That way I can get my 3 volts up there, some of the power there, some of the cables right there. I also like that this kit comes with the wire. Let me make sure this. There we go. This kit comes with the wire. I mean, you don't need to use theirs, but it's just usually for convenience. 30 gauge is the good stuff. This seems to be like somewhat sealed in there, which I'm impressed. There we go. Some of them are even nice enough to give you 2 lengths of wire that are short. Yeah. So that's what these guys did. 2 lengths of wire are longer, and I think that's usually ground and power. And then the other 2 lengths are shorter, and those go to the various things on the board. It's kind of good to know what the hack is. It's kind of good to know what the mod is. So this is a reset glitch hack. I think it's a 2.0, maybe a 1.2, but the point is, how it works is that it slows down the CPU so that it can inject its own code. And it's important to understand that, because it's all about how the machine turns on and if it turns on fast enough. So people say, oh, mine boots after 2 glitches or 3 glitches. So what that means is that when you turn on the console, you'll get your little light in the center, but when a console boots, you get the ring lights. They start to pop up in sequence. And when you first turn on a glitched console, it's not going to do that right away. What it does is this chip needs to glitch the CPU to boot into your custom firmware and whatever. So it takes multiple attempts to glitch and get everything started. So when you turn on your console, you only see the light in the middle, and if you have the correct timing files on this, you'll be up and running in 2 seconds up to 10 seconds. If you have improper or even really improper, it'll maybe never boot. It'll just sit there. You won't get a dashboard. You won't get anything on your screen. You'll just get the little light on the center of the Xbox console, but nothing will actually happen. So the better timing, and the whole point of this is you set everything up and then you choose the optimal timing files unique to every Xbox. Oop, there it goes. The NANDs are done and they are the same, so that's good. Yeah, so you pretty much want to first you make sure you can glitch it, and then you want to tune in the timing files so you're not turning on your console and waiting for 2 minutes for it to actually boot up. You want to turn it on, you want to get the right files, and then 2 or 3 glitches. That way you're in your dashboard, you're playing games within about less than 20 seconds, hopefully, than you less than 20 seconds of you turning on the machine. Okay, so the NAND is red. That's good. I can disconnect this and power. Tried soldering with the machine that's powered on. That's not good. And now on the software, I choose well, on the software, you pretty much have to create an image, flash it, and that's how you get into Zell, which is how you get, because there's a unique password on this CPU that we need to access in order for us to create custom code to run on this. So in order for us to get that information, we have to flash some stuff to it. But in order to do that, in order to get that custom screen and that CPU key out, we need to have a glitch tip on there. So I'm going to pull away from the software piece and get to the actual mod. So I had that brought up on another computer, but let me bring it up on this one. Xbox 360. Yeah, the website for these ACE chips is kind of ridiculous. They say resellers, and you click on that website. That website doesn't exist. And it says, don't buy fake ones on eBay. Beware of fake ones. I bought mine on eBay. It has a security code, which is supposed to be, to validate it. The ones I bought off eBay, it have a security code. I actually checked them; they work. So I assume mine are legit. I'm not sure. So, okay. Trinity P1 install. So, what we need to do, we're going to do 0.3 volts. Pull up some solder paste. I like to dip the end of the wires in this gunk to make sure they're ready to attach. I think I need new paste. This stuff is kind of dry, but okay. Pick up the soldering iron. And kind of need some solder on the tip. Alright, that's good. That lead is a little bit longer than I normally prefer. I think I'm going to trim down the next one. There is one. Oh, okay, I cut that down too much. Okay. So, next one goes in underneath it. Actually, let's... Again, I don't like how long that cable is. It gives it a chance to touch something else. I'm going to trim that. Put some flexi gunk on it. You can use other stuff too. I mean, you can use, this is alcohol. This is liquid flux. I use on wires, I usually use the gunk. I like to dip it in that stuff, but it's really each their own, whatever that freaking saying is. Okay. Alright, so that's going good. And these are not the ones I was worried about. These are really pieces of cake in terms of attaching wires stuff. It's the there's one of them I'm gonna solder like really tiny capacitors that I'm not looking forward to. All right. No. There we go. Okay. So there we go. We got 3 of the... we have 4 more wires left, but the 4 more wires, you know, are the trickier ones. So the 4 more wires are going to go... Let's see if I can... And again, probably not going to be the best view of this, but... Alright, so that... This is more learning experience for all of us, so... Deal with it. Okay. Right here. So they're going to go to these 2... These... This is hard to keep track of. I almost need a macro lens for this shit. Okay, right here. There are two, I think these are, no, these are resistors, I think. Right here and right here, we want to attach these 2 right here. We want to attach to the side of them. And if you go on their website, I've got a better picture than this. Again, I'm just trying to see how zooming in and all that and focusing stuff works. So, as you can see, I'm not the best at it yet, but whatever. Okay. So, C1 and C2. Is it the top ones or the bottom ones? Well, that's confusing. I mean, I guess that they're in series, so as long as you go in between those 2, you would get it. But whatever. Come at it from this way. Yeah. It's always good. I didn't really do it this time, but I've done this before, so I kind of have an idea. But it's always good to kind of route where your where's your chip going to go, where your wire is going to go. Kind of the best way. Even if you're, I mean, I'm left-handed, but if you're right-handed, it's, you know, it's best to find a way to solder. And this is really important in terms of getting in and out really quick. And I'll actually use some liquid flux to prep this, because if you hang in there too long, you're going to start taking components off, and that is not what we want to do in this thing. Like in this case, I think I almost have to go left-handed. Okay, we got some solder on those parts. And what you should do, and I didn't, is you always want to be able to move the board. Like some cases, it's almost better to put one of these on like a Lazy Susan, and you just spin it around to see whatever's best. Because again, I'm left-handed, so I'd always want to be able to have my left hand accessible, you know, to where I want to solder. But let's go ahead and give this a whack. Alright, that went in pretty easily. Put some fantastic goop on the end of that crap. I'm gonna hit it with more liquid solder or liquid flux, but it's always good to have some solder on the tip of your iron, because that way you don't have to worry about trying to reflow what's already on there. And again, you probably can't see what I'm doing, but people out there are smart individuals. You know, I can just say use your imagination. Okay, so that is what I thought the hardest part was going to be, and that actually wasn't too painful. So now the parts that need to go on the bottom. So on the bottom, blah, 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 blah. Right here. Okay, I see. B. I assume that's what these two longer wires are for. And if this eBay chip kills my Xbox, well then you guys will just have something to laugh at, because that'll be really embarrassing. But at this point, I'm hoping that the mistake would have been with the chip and not with the person installing it. I hope I don't want to jinx it, and I know I probably have more consoles to kill in my future, but very important to also not bridge some of this stuff like I just did there. Solder also helps protect. I'm sorry, flux also helps protect other crap on the board, so it's good to use it. And I have a feeling that's the best I'm going to get out of that. Okay, and the other one, FT4R2, it's right next to it. So FT4, let's see the picture. It's like that. Oh, oops, actually the picture is like that. Okay. So it's right there. And at this point, I have way too much solder on the tip of my iron, because I'm just gluing stuff together with it at this point. Okay. Yeah, alright. So now, let's get these two things attached. Put some magic goop on the end of that. Get that soldered in. Get some crap on the end of the tip. There you go. And then just thread that through to the other side. Some goop on that. Some solder on the tip. And Bob's your uncle. Okay. So at this point, all the wires are soldered to what they need to be soldered to on the board. You just need to connect them to the chip. And it's very important. I mean, this is why it'd be nice to have colored wire for each connection point, but beggars can't be choosers. Let's see if I can.
And the last thing that I sent her was
That's a little bit better of a shot. Let's focus that. Okay. So there's like the chip to go in right there. Let me make sure it's out of the way of the heat sink. Yeah. Yeah, it appears to be. Alright, so let's take the provided adhesive strip and attach it. And these are usually really stubborn, so I would make sure that wherever you are planting this thing down that you are satisfied with that location, because like I said, tearing these things off is a good chance you're going to damage something. Okay. Now that that's on there, let's prep the pads for the wires to get soldered to. I normally have a fan going. I'll just turn that on. Breathing in lead is not a good thing. Yeah, I think after this I will I'll post the links to the actual pictures of the stuff you need to solder, because my camera is not getting what needs to be shown. Okay. All right. Okay. First one, E. Where am I getting E from? E is this cable right here. This wire, I guess I could say. And again, get it smothered in the fantastic goop. Next one is D. D is the cable or the wire right by tweezers. I was hoping would make this easier. Okay, there we go. Get enough flux on the end of this wire. There we go. And again, I don't really like it. Not good to be clipping wires over your system because you can get chunks of wire to drop on and get wedged in places and cause shorts, but playing with fire here. So okay, so that's D. Now your ground. I'm gonna thread under here. Put some goop on it. There you go. That's ground. And then 3.3 volts is also from this cluster. So I'm also going to grab that. This wire would cooperate. There we go. Okay. Next we have C1, which is the further left. Or actually, let's do C2 first. So C2 is on the right. Alright. I don't like how long these cables are. Next one I do, I think I might trim these, but or even those, heck, I might undo all this wiring off camera and trim them. They just don't look very neat. One. And my soldering iron, by the way, is at 325. In case anyone's wondering, I'm always curious when I'm watching videos online and somebody's soldering and I'm curious about that stuff. Okay. And C1. Oh, C1 and C2 are in. Duh. Okay. So that's all there. Now from under the board. Now this is the part where, like I said, I wish I had different colors. Let's see. This one is B. That is B. Oops, jeez. Come on, get some stuff stuck on there. That's too much. Okay. B is for bat. So that goes on like that. And then that leaves, by process of elimination, A. And just like that, for all intents and purposes, that is the mod chip installed. I'm going to kind of route these wires a little bit. I want to get this thing greased up and the heatsink installed. That looks right. I need to go get a TV so we can test this. But let's get some new grease on this. I usually clean these beforehand, but it's weird. It seems loose. It clicks in and out. Oh well. Now let's get the grease on there, which is right here. Just a dab will do you. Does a pretty good job of spreading out. I usually keep the fan on because it helps me figure out which way this goes back on. Make sure I screw these in all the way. That was really cool. I put some thread locker on here for this, but this car isn't going around the Autobahn or going into Le Mans, so I don't think that really matters. Alright, let's smush that in all nice and evenly. I've always been curious if these go on a certain way. Yes, I have. Let's mash this down so it's evenly placed. Yeah, because it's just a fact, it bugs me, the fact that this has a little marker, or that one little cut that's at a different length than the rest of it, but I don't think I'm going to worry too much about it. Next time I'll work on doing stuff more in frame. But for my first stream, y'all can just deal. Okay. There we go. And the last X clamp on it. Come on. And again, you want to be controlled, not putting tons of force into doing this, because, like I said, one slip and you could very easily kill your Xbox. I usually, by hand, kind of squeeze these and make sure they're clipped on, because there's a little groove in there, and sometimes they don't naturally fall into that groove. Okay. Yep, that looks nice and shackled on. So now let's go get a TV and see if we can get the Zell up and running. So we get the CPU key. I'll be right back. Don't mess it, you're gonna break it.
Ah!
Oh, see? You break it, you bought it.
But I didn't touch anything.
That's okay. No, you can't break it at this point. The TV plugged in. I have way too. Yeah. I have way too many things plugged into one circuit, but you know, YOLO. see. I don't need the fan turn on anymore. Another thing, hold on, let me grab the cables. I was going to say, another thing is, so the Zell interface, the screen that shows you your CPU key and all that stuff, it has a very weird, what's what I'm looking for, resolution, I guess. And sometimes some TVs won't display it. So there'll be times where you don't think you're getting picture, but actually it is working. So I like to go back to old school and use some composite cables to just do this first part, because you really don't need to go back into Zell after it's all hacked and knotted. And then put it back in its home. Now we need to put the front part on. And if there is definitely one thing I hate about the new Slim consoles, is the fact that the buttons on the front are capacitive, and so if you are anywhere close to touching them, you will activate them. You will open up the CD drive, you will turn it on, you will turn it off, which is even more annoying. So now that I have that set up, let's get power back in this. So now we've read the NAND. Now what we're going to do is make the ECC image. I guess that's what I'm going to call it. And that ECC image, after we've created it, we're going to write it back, and that's what's going to get us into Zell. So it's writing the image now. Let's see. You can see my little LED is flashing by my finger. Okay, cool. So now we want to attach the critical parts. I'm going to get this. I wonder if that chip has anything flashed to it right now. Or should I flash something to it, at least basics? Well, let's see. I also like to use another SATA cable because that one is so damn short. And now I remember why I like to disconnect all this, because I don't like having all the circuits hang over the or the drive and all the parts hang over the motherboard. Come on. Bitch. Okay, there we go. Alright, so head bone's connected to the knee bone, knee bone's connected to the thigh bone. Power. Okay. I'm going to put that in a bunch of flux. So, let's see. We need the basic parts back. The drive is connected. The CPU fan is connected. Power is connected. Video is connected. See what I mean? Now we're going to disconnect the power because I don't like it turning on when I don't want it to be. Right. Left. Alright, and this is where the stream quality might... Okay, so it says it's reconnected. Quality might be crap now, but... Let's get the faceplate. I like to take the faceplate completely apart because this is a great place to break and you got to buy a new one, so I try and keep the faceplate detached whenever possible. Okay, so our TV is on. Let's see, that's connected. Chip is connected. Let's get power. Oh, I forgot to. You're supposed to put a solder bridge on one part of the chip. I don't know if that's crucial to getting inside of getting into Zell, but you know, they have it there for a reason, so might as well. Okay, I think we're good. I did the one thing I said you shouldn't solder live, but it looks like it's on. Yep, we're good. So hopefully this is what you will see. Bring the cables around. I don't think I'd have to do this, but this is what you should see. Zell, there's my CPU key, there's my DVD key, so that is a successful install. From here, it's a matter of, actually, we can do that last bit here. So now that that's on, and that's why I disconnected. I wanted to give a cable. So this thing's on my network, and I can use the program. As a matter of fact, let's see if I can show you what the program looks like. Okay, so this is the program that we use, and down here in the corner, damn it, this cable is way too short. But right here, God, I feel like a third grader trying to record this. So right there is where you're going to type in the IP address. So what was it? 138. Boom. Has everything it needs. Now I'm just going to flash it on. Stream's pretty much over. You guys get how it works from here. So thank you for watching. And like I said, I'll add on the stuff that you need to actually do this and proper instructions. Thanks. Bye-bye. I think that worked pretty well. I think now we just have to worry about getting the stuff set up at the venue.